Hey, today's my birthday, and I'm glad you're here to join me. I'm Ray of Sunshine. As you can see, I have my birthday stars flashing. Those are usually in a subdued dim mode, but they're flashing to celebrate my birthday. And my moon, the charge on my moon just died. Of course, just 2 seconds before I hit record because Mercury is retrograde. So not much you can do about that. But I still got my moon out there to celebrate the eclipse that we had this morning, and that's an exciting thing for me. I've always wanted to have an eclipse exactly on my birthday, so I'm psyched about that. Uh, I've been getting lots of birthday wishes from lots of places today, and one of the themes that seems to keep coming up. Oh, let me show you. Let me tell you about my theme in a minute. I have to show you before I forget about my birthday decorations here. I went to a restaurant, a local restaurant last night, and Jason was our waiter. The second time that we see him there, and so I said, "Hey, Jason, it's my birthday. Let me buy you a drink." And he said, "Oh." He said, "No, I can't. I'm only 19." But he says, "Happy birthday!" And hold on, I got something for you. So he goes out to his car and he comes back in with all these sashes with different sayings on them. And I picked this one here, Birthday Queen. And the reason I picked that is I want to tell you about this incident that happened to me many years ago. I was living at a retreat center kind of place for a while, and when it was time to move out, before I moved away from there and back to Rhode Island, I went on a trip with a friend of mine, my friend Laura, and she was going down to Costa Rica to go to language school. So I decided to hop along for the fun of it, and so we were down there for a couple of weeks. And one night we decided to go. There was like this party going on at the beach, and the way, I guess something like on the idea of what we had, at least I don't know if we still have them, but we had bar rooms back then. So kind of like the idea of what we had as a bar room, they had, but it was outside because it was hot. I went in this was in the winter time, or their winter, which is us, whatever it is. Anyway, it was their rainy season, and it was hot. It was still like 90s, 100 degrees. I love the water. I love the idea of the ocean being like bath water. So that was another benefit for me. Anyway, we had gone to this party, and they have this corral thing, which is their bar, and there was a bar set up in there, and people dancing all over the place, inside, outside the corral, all over the beach. Just the whole town was there, and finally it was late enough. I decided to head home, and this guy is stumbling along the way, kind of next to me. So I let him catch up. Clearly, he had something to say, and he says to me, and he's going like this to me. He said, "Regalia." I said, "What?" He said, "Regalia." So I didn't know what he was talking about, and we weren't going to be able to communicate anyway. So I helped him off to the side, put him up against a tree, and then I went back to check with Laura, because Laura was the one that was, if I had any questions about who's saying what, she would translate best she could, as long as you tell it to her slowly enough, and she was pretty good at it. So anyway, I said, this guy is telling me regalia. What's he talking about? And she says, "Oh." She said, "That means you are royalty." And that struck me. That just felt so right. And, I've always known that I've been around for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. I don't really know what all those lifetimes were about. I have a little bit of an idea, I've gotten some readings, and, I have some ideas, some clues and they all resonate with me, it's stuff that I feel fits in, but you don't really know the details of a lot of your past lives. But I felt that it was when I was down there in that area, down in the lower Americas, that I was royalty, and I still am royalty, just like you are, right? We're all royalty. So that was an important message for me. And I held on to that for many years because, I liked the feeling of it. It felt right. It felt comfortable. It felt natural when I got that message. And so I kept reliving it over and over and over and over. And to this day, sometimes that still flashes into my mind that you are royalty. And I know I am. And I'm learning that more and more every day because, those are not the messages that many of us grew up with. Those, we got messages like you're a dumbbell or whatever, whatever kind of message. They weren't always, well, I don't think anybody ever told me that I'm royalty. That was the first time I ever heard that I'm royalty. Now I hear it all the time. And you know who I hear it from? I hear it from me. I make sure that I tell myself that because I've discovered that I'm my best listener. When I'm talking to myself, I'm always listening to myself, and so if I'm going to listen, I might as well tell myself good stuff, right? So I tell myself about being royalty, and I make an effort to find things to feel good about, and and sometimes it's an effort. I'm just I'm not always up on cloud 9,000, and so and I need a little boost, but I figured out ways to do that. I might listen to a video of somebody that I find is uplifting and encouraging and positive, and increases my vibration, uh or I might go into appreciation mode, and even something like that. That was something that took a little bit of work to kind of to make it a focus, but I found I love being in appreciation mode, and there's so many things to appreciate, but at one time I needed to make it a point, maybe write myself a note, things to do today, and dream was one of them, and focus, and find something to appreciate, and then I'd put it on my list twice, find something to appreciate, find something to appreciate. I'd find something to appreciate. Now there's so many things to appreciate. I was just when I was at the beach. I was at the beach the other day, and there's this. I go into this this kind of scenario a lot because I just find it so fascinating. But there's this girl sitting in front of me. I'm on one of these benches that are really uncomfortable, but I brought my car cushion, and she was on the wall in front of me, and we're both facing the ocean. So I'm looking at the back of her head, and she has this long, beautiful black hair. And she's talking away a mile a minute, and there's nobody there. But I didn't think anything of it these days. Many years ago, before there were cell phones, when people used to be having those kind of conversations, we'd have a little bit of a different reaction to it. But anyway, she's talking away a mile a minute, having a ball, and she starts playing with her hair, and her fingers are going like this, and it was like magical, and her fingers are dancing, and I'm in such amazement because I'm looking at her fingers dance around, and she's not even really paying attention. She's doing it out of habit, out of routine, she's done it thousands of times, and her hands are dancing, and I'm in awe of that whole thing going on, and she's flipping things around, and the elastic's going in and out, and then before you know it, she gets this whole thing created up there, and it was without even thinking. Which and I realize that sometimes a lot of we do things without thinking, but when I stop to think about it, it's amazing. It's amazing that I can do this just by deciding to do it. I can do this just by deciding to do it. So I appreciate that I have motion, and there's so many things. Just well, probably from here to here, I could go on and on and on with dozens of things to be appreciative for, and then from here down, dozens more things to be appreciative for. And so I look for things like that, because I came to the conclusion that there is no limit on happy. How can you be too happy, right? So might as well just make an effort to continually contribute toward happy. And I don't know if I finished telling you about my sash. So anyway, I got that message down in Central America about you are royalty. And so I picked the birthday queen because not only do I feel I'm a queen, I feel that I'm a king. And that's just a good feeling to have. I've been a dreamer since as long back as I can remember. When I was a child, I was born with a bone disease, and it created difficulty for me for many years. And so, I was in the hospital. I was in a hospital bed for a while at home. I was on crutches. I was on different kind of contraptions. I was kind of kind of defined a lot about who I was. I couldn't move, and I was in a lot of pain at times, until finally one day I finally got some hip replacements, and that's another whole story. I'll tell you that story someday. But I decided, and it was a decision, that I could go anywhere I wanted to in my imagination. And so that was another thing that took a little bit of practice. If I was bored, whatever, for whatever reason I chose, I learned early on that I liked feeling good, and that I could create that feeling by creating an image of it in my mind, by going into my imagination, by going into my fantasy world. And I learned to love it, and I love it to this day. So I've been a dreamer for a long time, and I guess a hermit for a long time, and I don't make excuses for it, because it's an enjoyable place for me to be sometimes. Now, I've also been a tarot card reader for a long time, and that started back in the 1980s. Somebody had given me, I was fascinated with divination and oracles and all that kind of stuff. And so I would go for tarot card readings, and a friend of mine gave me a set of tarot cards came with a little book to study and stuff like that. But I remember thinking, I can't do that. I wouldn't know the first thing about it, and I couldn't even trust myself to even try. So those that sat on the bookshelf for many years, and then finally one day I had this inclination that I think because I was seeing card readers on a regular basis. I had this one particular card reader that when I first met her, she was reading at a restaurant, and we'd go for dinner and then take turns to go for our card reading. And then she became a friend of mine, and she officiated at my wedding a few years ago. I've known her for years and years and years, and she always did regular tarot card readings for me. But regardless, I went at different intervals depending on what kind of trauma or drama or elation was going on in my life at any particular time. But at least I would always go once a year at my birthday time. And so she's not doing card readings anymore, but I found a woman that I like online. Her name is Fanny, and she's a real nice woman, and she does fantastic card readings. I first saw her on YouTube. So anyway, I got a card reading from her, and she gave me a lot of interesting messages. But one of them that really stood out for me was because she was talking about how I'm shifting my perception of things these days, and coming more into myself, and learning to set boundaries, and valuing myself, and realizing that I'm the royalty that I know I am. And so she told me that what I'm willing to accept will be mirrored in my life. And then, of course, wouldn't you know, not long after that, I'm at the beach, and I'm sitting on this bench, and this woman comes to sit down next to me. And so usually, I go to the beach to just be there in nature, be quiet, talk to my phone, enjoy myself, be in the shade. But I decided, like I decide every day, I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to let something go that no longer serves my purpose, and I'm going to do something new. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do something out of character. I'm going to do something that I wouldn't normally do. I'm going to do something to try to discover something new about me. So I decided that, and I had gotten in a little bit of a conversation with this woman, And she was just nervous as could be about. She kept looking over. Her kids were in the water, and she's making phone calls like I don't know to who, but saying, is this beach? Do they usually have riptides here? Stuff like that. So she was pretty worked up. I decided I'm going to go into that conversation with her, which we did, and I found out. She told me this story about when she was a young girl and her mother was drowning, and she's splashing in the water like this, and and going under, and then finally her father comes along and jumps in to save the mother, but he gets pulled down too, and they're under the water, and the motion stops, and I mean, obviously she's traumatized from this situation, and then somebody comes along and jumps in the water and finally saves them. But still, she's traumatized nonetheless, and this is something that she carries with her for a long time, and it's something that she keeps reliving for a long time, and I'm afraid of the water, 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 and she's sitting on the side of me the other day, and she's afraid of the water. But it made me think about many years ago. I used to take my son rock climbing at this place called Purgatory Chasm. It's up the road here. They had, some pretty good walls, 20, 30 feet high. And the typically would be a bunch of different age kids that would all be climbing the walls, and the mothers would be all down below saying, "Oh, be careful, Susie, be careful, Johnny, watch out," and so and I remember thinking, well, geez, what's that accomplishing? And then I'd get nervous sometimes too. Charles would his foot would slip or whatever. But so it took some practice to kind of like condition myself to realize that those fears I'm creating in my mind. It's not something that exists. And so and by practicing, I could remain calm and really see it in the way that there was a comfortable perception for me. And so, it made me realize that I have been going through the same thing, because just the idea of making a YouTube video is not something that I've been dreaming of all my life. I've been dreaming of it for a few weeks now, and it's not something that was it wasn't on my bucket list, but it came up, and I've been getting nudges to do it. So, and I've been having difficulty, and not doing it. And so I finally realized when I'm talking to, I believe her name was Karen, the other day, that if I have a fear, it's because it's something that was presented to me at some time in those hundreds of millions of seconds. Oh, I was telling you about when I figured that out. If you're 75 years old, it's over 1 billion segments of input. If you count 1 second as a segment, over 1 billion of them that you get. That now it's time to look back on and say, oh, I'm going to forget about all that. That's what I was telling you about. I want to forget everything. That's my birthday wish, and that's the wish. That's the well, that's one of the messages I'm going to leave you with. I have a couple more things that I really would like to cover that are kind of linked to the things I've been talking about. But I want to forget everything that I've been conditioned to define myself as. And that's my wish for me and for you. It's a lot. It's a lot to ask. I know, because it's a loss, and you're grieving all of this stuff. You're losing yourself, and I know what loss is all about. You know what loss is all about. We've lost people. We've changed habits. We've given up addictions. We've done a lot. We've lost a lot of things, and we know what that's like. So it's a matter of going through the process. It's not a matter of avoiding the process. It's a matter of going through the process, and that's my wish. That's my birthday wish for me, and my birthday wish for you. I was also inspired the other day by a YouTuber. This guy's name is Ralph Smart, and he has a program called Infinite Waters. And he talks about a lot of the kind of stuff that I talk about, a lot of the kind of stuff that his mind, his mind works. This is scary. His mind works a lot like mine does. But I connect with him. And he was talking the other day. I find him kind of inspiring because, you know, he was saying he's been on YouTube for 10 years, you know, he has a following. He's obviously he's competent and interesting. And so I'm saying, what's he got that I ain't got? And for one thing, well, a beautiful set of teeth. And another thing is that a nicer camera, that's for sure. But, you know, aside from that, I'm looking at him saying, well, you know, I'm just as interesting, I'm just as engaging, I'm just as informative, I'm just as inspiring, I'm just as cute. And so I'm going to do it because everything I want is on the other side of fear. So anyway, tune into Ralph Smart if you have a chance, and I think you'll appreciate some of the things he has to talk about. And the last thing I want to mention before I go is the concept of all work, no play. Because, you know, that's something that I've been exposed to all my life, the idea of, I think the saying was, I started talking about this on a video the other day and I didn't finish it. All work, no play makes Jack and Jill boring, or Jack and Jack boring, or whatever the combination that makes them boring. But you know, I think that the new philosophy, or at least the philosophy that I'm adopting, is why work at all? Why can't everything just be playtime? Because, you know, that's the way I felt about a lot of things most of my life. And I went into doing things that I enjoyed doing, things that I was good at, things that how I could express myself and develop into me. And of course, that's, you know, I'm relearning that again now because it's a whole new process of discovering me with this whole new world energy going on. But that worked the way it worked in that energy, and I know how it works. I figured it out over and over and over again. So to me, when anybody ever said, what do you do for work? I didn't say it, but I'm thinking in my mind, I don't work. It's playtime for me. So I'm going to leave you with this challenge to share this video with someone you like, but also share it with somebody who's not on your top 10 list of best buds, because it's time to do something different, to discover something different about you. And meanwhile, it's playtime. Create you.